Hello friends, welcome to Drishti YouTube and also welcome to our session on the Economy Simplified. Friends, in this video we shall talk about the topic of stagflation, a topic which helps to understand inflation as well as unemployment and the linkage between the two. Let's begin the topic of stagflation. This word actually comes from the two words. One is the stagnant inflation, is the stagflation. Now, what is meant by the stagnant inflation? You see, friends, we have a concept called Phillips curve. See, usually, why do we have unemployment and why do we have the inflation? See, whenever people have in an economy, the people have jobs, right? In the case of the jobs, people have money from the salaries. The money brings demand, and the demand increasing higher will lead to inflation. So we say actually that the employment brings inflation. That's a real phenomenon that happens. And the economic growth brings employment. So growth breeds inflation. So growth is a driver of inflation in the economy. That's true. The problem is not here. The problem is, suppose we have a situation where we have both unemployment and inflation. These two are contradictory in nature, right? But suppose they both come together. This situation is called stagflation, a situation where we have the unemployment and the inflation together is called the stagflation. Usually, as I said, the growth breeds employment, employment breeds demand and inflation. So usually and technically, the employment should be together with the inflation, but suppose the unemployment and the inflation exist together in the economy, this is called a case of stagflation or the stagnant inflation, right? We have a, suppose a curve, we make inflation and unemployment, the curve looks like this, because if the inflation is low, it means the demand is low, it means possibly unemployment is high, right? And if the unemployment is low, which means employment is there, demand is there, as a result inflation should be there. So inflation and unemployment will not stay together technically, but suppose in reality they are together. This is called the stagflation. This occurs when a country has structural gaps, a country has lack of infrastructure. As a result, the industries are not there, employment is there, as well as the lack of the infrastructure, lack of supply, lack of production leads to inflation as well. So usually in case of lack of infrastructural facilities, as well as suppose a country is too much dependent on the imported goods. Suppose we depend too much on the imported goods, then what happens? We import the goods, we don't produce ourselves. As a result, we do have unemployment. And suppose the importing goods become costlier due to, say, currency depreciation or say any other factor, inflation is also seen in the economy. Suppose we import a lot of electronics, right? And we don't manufacture electronics. So we'll have unemployment, and suppose they now come costlier, then along with the unemployment will have inflation. So a country having lack of indigenous production capabilities, a country dependent on the imports, a country which lacks infrastructure will have a situation called stagflation. Friends, let's have some questions on this. See, Stagflation presents a unique challenge to macroeconomic theory because it breaks the traditional inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. We saw this statement. Which of the following conditions simultaneously characterize an economy experiencing stagflation? You have to say which of the following points refer to stagflation. This is the question, right? So, a country having high unemployment and high inflation is characterized as the stagflation. So, in the first statement, they say low unemployment. This is incorrect, right? The second is stagnant contracting GDP leading to high unemployment and rising in price level. So, this statement largely presents the definition of the stagflation, right? And the C statement, the D statement are not linked to stagflation in any way because stagflation is about the contracting economy, high unemployment, as well as the high inflation, which is we saw due to many factors, particularly when the country is dependent on the import. So, this point is this is the B as the correct statement. Now, the second question. Why is a central bank like the RBI faced with a severe policy dilemma when trying to combat stagflation using conventional monetary policy instrument? The question is, why does RBI face a problem to combat a stagflation using the conventional monetary policy instrument? You see, RBI faces a challenge in combating the stagflation. Why? Why do you think so? RBI is facing a challenge. Suppose if RBI tightens the liquidity, RBI tightens the money supply to control the inflation, right? So suppose RBI tightens the liquidity, increases the repo rates to counter the inflation. This will lead to curtailing of the money supply in the economy. As a result, economic stagnation will take place. Economy will not see economic expansion also depends upon how much money is available. The money availability brings demand. The demand brings production. Production brings jobs. So economy grows. So money supply is a kind of a fuel to a great economy. That is why suppose RBI tightens the liquidity, right? And in order to say cut the inflation, so that will also cut the growth. And suppose RBI increases the money to boost growth, inflation will also increase. So RBI is in dilemma what to do. If they cut the money supply, they are affected this way. They increase the money supply, they are affected in the other way. That's why this is the right dilemma with the RBI to how to handle the stagflation, right? Now, this is the not correct statement. Lowering the repo rate is simultaneously increases. So, this is not the correct. See, if you lower the repo rate, right, this will create employment because the repo rates cut will increase the money supply, production, demand. So, this is incorrect because largely we can say that lowering of the repo rate will increase the employment, not decrease, right? So, this is these two are not is correct. The most appropriate answer is A, that this is the dilemma the RBI faces in case of stagflation. The third question we have is, given that demand side management, right, can worsen the inflation during the stagflation, right? Economists suggest supply side economics to pull economy out of stagflation. Which of the following measures align with this approach? The question is that, see, if you have unemployment and inflation, right, and suppose you increase the demand by giving the money to help people in the case of unemployment, you will further spoil the situation because more money supply will lead to high inflation, right? That's why in order to pull an economy out of the stagflation, what you do, don't increase the money supply, increase the infrastructure, increase the supply. promote the production, promote the industry. So here what we have, in order to pull economy out of the stagflation, right, implement structural reforms, right? We have to bring the reforms that cut the regulatory costs, they reduce import tariffs on raw materials and let the country produce. Do those things which leads to production. Don't increase the demand by increasing the money. Give the production, give the raw material, give the electricity, give the infrastructure. So infrastructure changes logistics, investment will increase the jobs without immediately increasing the inflation. That's why in this statement, the P is the correct answer, which will pull economy out of the stagflation without increasing the inflation. We shall lead to increase of the production and decrease of the unemployment. So friends, this is about the stagflation. We shall see one more topic in the coming videos. We shall see other topics. See you there. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.